the calm before the storm. The sun rose slowly over the bustling cities of Earth, spilling golden light across streets filled with people rushing to work, children laughing on their way to school, and cars honking in the familiar chaos of a busy morning. From space, Earth looked calm, peaceful, and ordinary, a small blue planet spinning quietly in the vast darkness of the universe. No one noticed the first faint tremors that began far above the clouds, the strange signals that passed unseen through the instruments of satellites and space stations. In a quiet laboratory perched on a remote mountain, Dr. Elena Ross adjusted the sensors on a large array of telescopes. She was a senior scientist at the International Space Observation Network, and she had been watching for unusual cosmic activity for years. But today was different. The readings on her monitors flickered strangely, showing massive energy signatures moving through deep space, far larger than anything humanity had ever observed. "What is that?" she whispered to herself. The signal was faint, but it was unmistakable. Something massive was heading toward Earth. She zoomed in on the coordinates, her eyes widening as the shapes became clearer. Towering ships, dark and metallic, moving silently, faster than anything human technology could match. Meanwhile, across the globe, life continued as usual. Farmers tended their fields, teenagers laughed over video games, office workers sipped coffee and argued over deadlines. Nobody imagined that a force from the far reaches of the galaxy was approaching them, a force that had conquered worlds and civilizations, leaving only ruin in its wake. To the people of Earth, life was simple and safe. Even the governments of Earth, with their spy satellites and radar networks, had not yet detected the fleet. It was moving stealthily, hiding behind cosmic dust clouds, waiting for the right moment to strike. Yet, in the back rooms of space agencies and defense organizations, some experts began noticing anomalies, tiny blips on their instruments, strange energy fluctuations in the upper atmosphere. Most of these experts dismissed them at first. Space was unpredictable, strange signals came and went all the time. But Dr. Ross knew this was different. Something large was coming, and it was coming fast. As evening approached, the people of Earth continued unaware. In New York, skyscrapers reflected the orange glow of the setting sun. In Tokyo, neon lights began to blink on, and the streets filled with the smell of street food and the sound of chatter. In the Sahara, nomads sat around fires looking at the stars. Every corner of the planet was alive, yet every corner was completely unprepared for what was coming. Dr. Ross tried to alert the authorities, but her warnings met skepticism. "Are you sure, Dr. Ross?" her supervisor asked. "These readings could be glitches, miscalculations, maybe interference." She shook her head. "I've triple-checked the sensors. This is real. Something is out there. Something big." The military listened reluctantly, sending a few reconnaissance satellites toward the coordinates. What they saw confirmed Dr. Ross's fears. Ships larger than cities, black as void, with strange glowing patterns moving across their surfaces, were advancing toward Earth. The Galactic Empire, as the researchers called them, the same name given to the civilizations that had destroyed entire worlds, was approaching. Despite the clear danger, the world carried on in blissful ignorance. People continued to smile, argue, work, play, and live their lives. Children chased each other in parks, lovers walked hand in hand on beaches, and families shared dinners in cozy homes. The universe, vast and indifferent, seemed peaceful tonight. But in the silent corridors of space, colossal engines hummed. The shadows of alien ships stretched across the stars, and their intentions were unmistakable. Back at the observatory, Dr. Ross and her small team prepared for what might come. They studied alien patterns, examined energy readings, and tried to understand technology that was not meant for human eyes. The more they studied, the more terrifying it became. These ships were not just powerful, they were intelligent, adaptable, and designed for conquest. Worlds did not survive encounters with them. And now, Earth was next. Yet, in the face of fear, Dr. Ross also felt a spark of hope. Humanity had survived countless challenges before: plagues, wars, natural disasters. Perhaps, just perhaps, the ingenuity and courage of humans could stand against this threat. She did not know how, but she knew that if Earth was to survive, every human would need to fight in ways they had never imagined. As night fell, Earth's cities glittered like stars, oblivious to the storm approaching from the darkness beyond. The first small tremors had been felt by instruments alone, but soon the sky would crack with light, the oceans would roar, and the ground would shake. Somewhere in the distance, the Galactic Empire's fleet moved with silent precision. Ships turned in perfect formation, massive and deadly, as if the universe itself had built them for destruction. The leaders of the Empire communicated silently, sharing strategies and calculating their invasion. They had conquered countless worlds, and they expected Earth to fall just as easily. But Earth was unlike any world they had encountered. Unaware, unprepared, yet capable of astonishing ingenuity and courage, the people of Earth were about to face their greatest challenge. And though the night was calm now, it was only the calm before the storm, a storm that would change the planet forever. Dr. Ross looked up at the sky through her telescope one last time before closing her instruments for the night. She felt a chill run down her spine. "It's coming," she whispered. "And we have to be ready." For the first time, humanity's place in the universe felt both small and immensely important. One planet, filled with fragile humans, was about to face the might of a galactic empire. What happened next would define not just survival but the very future of the human race. And so Earth slept unaware. The stars twinkled innocently, hiding the colossal fleet moving silently toward the blue planet. Tomorrow everything would change. The arrival of the Galactic Empire. The morning began like any other, with the sun rising over the horizon and casting warm light across the cities, forests, and oceans of Earth. Birds sang in the trees, waves crashed gently on the shores, and humans went about their routines, completely unaware of the dangers silently approaching from the void of space. High above the planet, Dr. Elena Ross and her team stared at the monitors in disbelief. The faint tremors and energy signals they had detected the day before were now unmistakable. The shapes of massive ships had emerged clearly on the instruments, moving faster than the eye could see, larger than any human imagination had prepared for. The Galactic Empire had arrived. The first ships entered Earth's orbit without warning. They appeared like black stars against the deep blue of space, glinting with strange energy that made even seasoned astronomers shiver. Each vessel was immense, several kilometers long, bristling with weapons that no human technology could match. The sheer scale of the fleet was overwhelming. It was no longer a distant threat. It was here, surrounding Earth in a perfect, terrifying formation. Across the globe, satellites picked up strange energy pulses, and military radars began blinking alarms. Jets scrambled into the sky, but even their fastest fighters were far too slow. Governments convened emergency meetings in secret bunkers. World leaders stared at their screens, faces pale, realizing for the first time the magnitude of the threat. Yet they had no idea how to fight what was coming. From the flagship of the Empire, a colossal ship known simply as Dominion, a voice echoed across every communication channel on Earth. It was calm, cold, and clear, spoken in a language that humans could understand through their universal translators. "People of Earth, you have been observed. Your planet is now claimed. Surrender or be destroyed." Panic erupted almost immediately. News channels across every continent broadcasted the message, causing chaos in cities and villages alike. People ran through streets, unsure where to go or what to do. Governments ordered evacuations, but the Empire's ships blocked the skies. The situation felt hopeless. Humanity had never faced anything like this before. But in the chaos, some humans refused to panic. Military leaders, scientists, and ordinary citizens began to act. They mobilized forces, strategized, and looked for weaknesses. Dr. Ross worked with engineers to analyze the alien technology, while fighter pilots prepared for the first contact. It was the first sign that humans, though outmatched in power, were not yet beaten. The Empire's fleet began a slow, deliberate sweep around Earth. From orbit, its ships released drones and probes, scanning the planet for weaknesses. Cities were targeted first: New York, London, Tokyo, Cairo, major centers of human civilization. Explosions would follow soon, the aliens intended, but the humans were not as helpless as the Empire expected. In underground bunkers, scientists and military strategists studied the energy shields of the alien ships. They discovered that although the vessels were powerful, they had certain vulnerabilities, gaps in their shields, blind spots in their targeting systems, and predictable energy patterns. It was a small hope, but hope was enough. Humanity had always been clever when cornered. On the ground, panic turned to cautious action. People moved to shelters, emergency services organized rescue missions, and soldiers prepared to defend their cities. Even civilians picked up whatever tools they could find, makeshift weapons, computers, and equipment, to help in any way possible. Every human was suddenly part of the defense. As the day progressed, the Empire decided to show its power. Massive beams of energy shot from the flagship, cutting through the atmosphere and striking a remote desert region. Dust and rock flew into the air, and a deep roar echoed for miles. Humans witnessed the sheer destructive force of their attackers. But instead of despair, something remarkable happened. Humans began to fight back, improvising ways to disrupt alien drones and communication signals. In the skies above Europe, fighter jets attempted daring maneuvers against the alien scout ships. Most were destroyed, but a few managed to return with valuable information about the ship's energy systems. Scientists worked day and night, translating this intelligence into countermeasures. Humanity had discovered the first cracks in the Empire's armor. Dr. Ross, standing in the observatory, could see the fleet spread across the sky, like a black storm circling the planet. Yet she did not feel hopeless. "They think they are invincible," she said to her team. "But they've never faced humans before. They don't understand our will, our creativity, or our determination. And that will make all the difference." Meanwhile, across the world, ordinary humans began to display extraordinary courage. In cities, engineers rigged power grids to interfere with alien sensors. Amateur hackers attempted to breach alien communication networks. Soldiers and volunteers alike used every possible strategy to buy time and protect their people. The humans had no choice; they could not surrender. Their survival depended on every single effort, no matter how small. As night fell on Earth, the Empire's fleet remained in orbit, a silent menace against the darkened cities below. Yet humanity had already started to show its teeth. In the deserts, jungles, mountains, and seas, humans prepared their defenses. From small villages to massive cities, the planet was alive with activity, planning, and determination. The Empire, confident in its superiority, did not anticipate the human response. They had conquered worlds before, civilizations that had crumbled at their presence. But Earth was different. Humans were unpredictable, clever, and adaptable. Their unity and resourcefulness, traits the Empire had never encountered on such a scale, would soon prove to be their greatest strength. In the observatory, Dr. Ross gazed at the distant ships through her telescope. "This is only the beginning," she whispered. "They've arrived, yes, but we are not defeated. Not yet. And one day they will learn what it means to underestimate humanity." For the first time, the calm of Earth's night was broken not by fear, but by a quiet, determined hope. Humanity had faced its greatest threat, and though the storm had just arrived, the fight for survival had already begun. First strike. The calm of Earth had shattered. For the first time, humans truly understood the scale of the threat surrounding their planet. The Galactic Empire had arrived in orbit, its massive fleet casting shadows across continents and oceans. From the perspective of the average citizen, the sky seemed darker, the air heavier, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. The first strike came without warning. Giant energy beams erupted from the alien fleet, slamming into the outskirts of major cities. Skyscrapers crumbled under immense pressure, streets cracked, and fires erupted, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Humanity had never faced destruction on such a scale, and panic spread quickly. People ran, screamed, and searched desperately for safety. But amidst the chaos, humans refused to surrender. Military command centers around the world erupted into activity. Fighter jets soared into the sky, missiles launched toward the enemy ships, and anti-air systems fired with all their might. At first, the alien fleet ignored the attacks, confident in their superiority. Dr. Elena Ross watched the monitors in the observatory, heart pounding. "They're strong, yes," she muttered, "but not invincible. Watch carefully, every action they take has a pattern, a rhythm. We can learn it." She and her team worked frantically, analyzing the fleet's movements, noting the energy pulses, shield patterns, and weak points. Every second counted. In New York, Commander Daniel Hargrove led a squadron of human fighters into the skies. The pilots were nervous but determined. "Remember, no one expects humans to fight like this," he said over the radio. "Stay sharp, watch each other's backs, and don't give up." The jet engines screamed as they approached the first alien scout ships. These smaller vessels were fast and deadly, firing energy pulses that could obliterate entire city blocks. But the humans had speed, agility, and creativity on their side. The first engagement shocked the Empire. The pilots executed daring maneuvers, weaving through alien fire, dodging attacks that should have been impossible to evade. Using unexpected tactics, they managed to disable a few drones and force some of the alien ships to retreat. It was a small victory, but it ignited hope across the globe. On the ground, engineers and scientists worked tirelessly. Makeshift weapons were developed from existing technology, and hackers attempted to disrupt alien communications. Even ordinary civilians contributed, alerting authorities, rescuing trapped citizens, and organizing local defenses. Humanity was fighting as one, using every resource available. The Empire quickly realized they had underestimated humans. "These creatures are unpredictable," said a high-ranking officer aboard the Dominion flagship. "They adapt too quickly. This planet is different." For the first time, doubt appeared among the invaders. The humans were clever, organized, and brave, a combination they had not anticipated. In London, a massive alien drone approached the city center, firing destructive beams toward residential areas. Lieutenant Sarah Khan, leading a unit of human soldiers, called her team into action. Use the terrain. Flank them from both sides. Distract and disable. They employed guerrilla tactics, using smoke, mirrors, and high-speed vehicles to confuse the alien sensors. The drone, for all its technological superiority, faltered under these tactics and eventually fell, crashing into the Thames with a tremendous explosion. The first strike had shown both the Empire's power and humanity's resilience. Across the world, news of these small victories spread, inspiring people to resist. Hope, once fragile, began to grow. Humans had faced wars before, natural disasters, and even internal conflicts. But never had they confronted a force that seemed unstoppable, until now. Even in the deserts, jungles, and mountains, humans fought back. In isolated regions, small groups of civilians and soldiers used ingenuity to turn natural resources into weapons against the invaders. Rocks, high-voltage lines, and improvised explosives were used to disable alien drones. Every victory, no matter how small, was a reminder: humans were not just prey, they were fighters. Dr. Ross continued her calculations, discovering a critical insight. The Empire's ships had shields that were powerful but limited. Energy bursts could only be sustained for a certain duration before requiring a recharge. If humans could time their attacks precisely, they could break through these shields and strike the ships directly. It was risky, but it was the key to turning the tide. Back in orbit, the Dominion fleet began adjusting its strategy. The alien commanders realized that brute force alone would not win this war. They had encountered resistance, adaptability, and cunning, the hallmarks of a species that refused to be defeated. Frustration and anger spread among their ranks. Yet they were not ready to retreat. They still believed their technology, their experience, and their overwhelming numbers would eventually crush Earth. As night fell, the battles continued. Cities were scarred by explosions, skies lit by laser beams, and the distant roar of collapsing buildings echoed across the planet. Yet, even amidst destruction, humanity's courage shone brightly. In the observatory, Dr. Ross and her team monitored the conflicts, coordinating with military forces. Every piece of data, every observation was being used to refine human strategies. Commander Hargrove's squadron returned from their first mission battered but alive. "They're not invincible," he said firmly. "We can fight them. We have to fight them." His words spread quickly, inspiring other units, military personnel, and civilians alike. Humanity had discovered a truth that the Empire had overlooked. Courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome even the most advanced technology. By the end of the first day, the Galactic Empire had inflicted massive damage, but they had underestimated humanity's determination. The aliens had expected easy conquest, submission, and surrender. Instead, they encountered resistance at every turn. Humans adapted, improvised, and struck back in ways the Empire had never imagined. Dr. Ross looked out over the observatory's horizon, where city lights still burned defiantly despite the destruction. "This is only the beginning," she said quietly. "The first strike has come and we've survived. But the fight is far from over. Tomorrow we will learn how strong humanity truly is." For the first time, humans saw the enemy not just as invaders but as conquerable. The first strike had been a warning, a test. And Earth had answered. Humanity unites. The first strike had left scars across Earth. Cities were battered, skies were filled with smoke, and oceans glimmered with fire from distant explosions. Yet, amidst the destruction, humans had survived. They had resisted. And now, something extraordinary began to happen. Humanity started to unite. In war rooms around the world, leaders from every nation set aside their differences. Borders, politics, and old rivalries seemed trivial compared to the threat hovering in the sky. Satellite images of the alien fleet were shared openly between nations. Military strategists, scientists, engineers, and pilots began coordinating on a scale never seen before. Humanity realized that only by working together could they survive. Dr. Elena Ross was at the heart of this new coalition. Her research into the alien technology had become invaluable. Through a global communication network, she guided engineers in Tokyo, technicians in Berlin, and hackers in New York, showing them how to disrupt alien shields, exploit energy weaknesses, and confuse their targeting systems. "Every human on this planet is a soldier now," she said firmly to her team. Not every soldier has a gun, but every action counts. Even the smallest interference can change the outcome. In the skies, fighter squadrons from different countries began coordinating their attacks. Pilots flew in precise formations, covering each other and sharing vital intelligence about alien movements. For the first time, humans attacked the alien fleet not in scattered pockets, but as a united force. On the ground, civilians played their part too. Engineers rewired power grids to create electromagnetic pulses, knocking out some alien drones. Hackers jammed communication signals, causing confusion in the Empire's ranks. Ordinary people dug shelters, transported the wounded, and provided supplies to the soldiers. Humanity was fighting as one organism, every individual a crucial part of the defense. In London, Lieutenant Sarah Khan led a combined unit of soldiers and civilians. They had captured an alien drone intact and were learning how to reverse engineer its systems. "If we can understand even a fraction of their technology," she said, "we can fight back smarter, not just harder." Meanwhile, Commander Daniel Hargrove and his squadron launched coordinated strikes against the alien scouts. Using the patterns Dr. Ross had discovered, they hit weak points in the ship's shields and forced several of them out of orbit. For the first time, the Empire was not just met with resistance, they were losing. The Dominion flagship, massive and imposing, floated above the Earth like a storm cloud. Its commanders were frustrated, unable to predict human movements. "These humans, they are too clever," said one alien officer. "They are not like the other worlds we conquered. They learn, adapt, and fight back as one. We did not expect this." Across the globe, ordinary humans were proving their worth in extraordinary ways. A group of villagers in the Amazon used high-voltage lines and river currents to disable a drone. Engineers in New York jury-rigged old satellites to create energy pulses that disrupted the Empire's targeting. Even children, guided by adults, contributed by alerting authorities and organizing emergency signals. Every human had a role, no matter how small, and the planet began to function as a single, united defense force. As humans adapted, the alien fleet began to feel the strain. Ships that had once seemed unstoppable were now vulnerable to clever ambushes, electromagnetic interference, and coordinated counterattacks. For the first time, the Empire questioned its strategy. Their vast experience in conquering worlds had taught them that brute force was enough, but Earth was proving different. In a high-altitude observatory, Dr. Ross studied the fleet and smiled for the first time in days. "They think technology alone will win the war," she said. "But they haven't seen what humans can do when they unite." Her team continued to analyze the alien fleet, identifying new weaknesses and sharing strategies instantly with forces around the world. Humanity's collective intelligence had become its most powerful weapon. As night fell, the skies were no longer filled with unbroken terror. Explosions still occurred and fires still burned, but hope had begun to glow in the hearts of humans. They had survived the first strike. They had discovered that the Empire could be fought, that the alien invaders were not invincible, and that unity could turn fear into strength. In cities and towns, people cheered when news came of successful counterattacks. In underground shelters, families held each other close, feeling a renewed sense of courage. Even soldiers on the front lines found inspiration in the knowledge that every human on Earth was part of the fight. Humanity was no longer fragmented. It had become a force that even the galaxy's most powerful empire could not easily crush. Back aboard the Dominion flagship, the alien commanders convened in anger. Their sensors and communications were disrupted, their scout ships destroyed, and their attacks thwarted. "This species is remarkable," said the lead commander. "They are unlike any we have faced. Their resilience, their cooperation, their spirit. They fight not out of fear but out of unity. We must adapt or fail." Humanity, too, realized that this was only the beginning. The Empire's fleet remained in orbit, powerful and deadly. But for the first time, humans had something the invaders did not anticipate: strategy, courage, and unity. They were not just fighting to survive, they were fighting to win. Dr. Ross looked up at the sky from the observatory. Through the clouds, the alien ships glimmered with strange energy, but they no longer seemed invincible. "They came to conquer us," she whispered. "But they have no idea who they are facing. Humanity is not just surviving. We are rising. And we will not fall." In that moment, Earth itself seemed to pulse with determination. Humans across the globe were connected not just by fear or necessity, but by hope, courage, and the unwavering belief that they could protect their planet. The Galactic Empire had arrived, confident and deadly. But humanity, united for the first time in its history, had become a force far greater than the invaders expected. The fight was far from over, but now for the first time Earth was ready. White heavy checkmark key points in Part 4. The Galactic Empire realizes their mistake. The night sky above Earth was alive with battle. Explosions lit the atmosphere as human fighter jets darted between alien ships, dodging energy beams with agility and courage. On the ground, scientists and civilians worked tirelessly, creating devices and traps to disrupt the Empire's technology. For the first time, the Galactic Empire began to see that Earth was unlike any other world they had conquered. In the command room of the Dominion flagship, tension filled the air. Alien officers pored over displays showing the losses they had suffered in the last few days. Scouts destroyed, drones disabled, energy signals disrupted. The humans were clever, fast, and unpredictable. They fight with a unity we have never encountered, one officer reported. They anticipate our movements, exploit our weaknesses, and strike with precision. How is this possible? The lead commander of the fleet, known only as Overseer Kale, narrowed his eyes at the holographic displays. This species, they are not like the others, he said slowly. They adapt. They learn. And they do it together. We expected submission. We expected fear. But they fight back. Kale's words spread through the fleet like a ripple of unease. The alien soldiers, trained for centuries to conquer without resistance, now faced a species that refused to break. Ships that had destroyed entire planets were faltering. Drones were being captured or disabled. Human pilots, using daring maneuvers and unexpected tactics, were striking at weak points the Empire had never considered. Meanwhile, on Earth, humans were seizing every opportunity. Dr. Elena Ross and her team had identified a pattern in the Empire's attacks. While their ships were powerful, their energy shields could only sustain short bursts before needing to recharge. Using this knowledge, humans timed their counterattacks perfectly. Missiles, electromagnetic pulses, and fighter strikes hit the Empire's ships at just the right moments, causing devastating damage. Commander Daniel Hargrove led one of the boldest assaults yet. His squadron had studied the movement of a massive alien cruiser for hours. When the ship activated its shields for a major strike, the human pilots swooped in from all sides, hitting the shield's weak points simultaneously. The cruiser shuddered under the combined attack before finally losing power and plummeting into the Pacific Ocean with a tremendous explosion. News of this victory spread rapidly across the globe. Civilians cheered in streets and shelters, soldiers raised their weapons in determination, and even the most frightened children felt hope. Humanity was no longer just defending itself, it was winning. Back in orbit, Kale watched the reports of the cruiser's destruction with disbelief. Impossible, he muttered. They should not be capable of this. His officers tried to reassure him, explaining that it was just luck, that humans had never fought a galactic-scale army before. But Kale knew it was more than luck. These humans were organized, inventive, and fearless. They were a species that had never known defeat on their own planet, and now they were proving it to the galaxy. Across Earth, similar stories unfolded. In Europe, combined human forces used cityscapes and terrain to outmaneuver alien drones. In Asia, hackers disrupted the Empire's communication networks, causing confusion among the alien ranks. In the deserts of Africa and the jungles of South America, humans turned natural environments into strategic advantages, forcing the Empire to retreat in some areas. Humanity had turned its planet itself into a weapon against invaders. Dr. Ross observed the progress with a mix of pride and determination. They think technology alone will win, she said to her team. But they haven't seen the strength of human creativity, courage, or unity. That is what makes us dangerous. Even the smallest victories mattered. A single energy pulse from a makeshift device could disable an alien drone. A well-timed diversion could lead to the destruction of an entire scout ship. Humans were learning, adapting, and improving faster than the Empire could respond. Every day their confidence grew, and with it, the hope of the planet. Kale summoned his top commanders for an emergency meeting. These humans are unlike anything we have faced, he said sternly. We cannot predict them. We cannot overwhelm them with brute force alone. They are clever, adaptable, and united. We must reconsider our approach, or we risk losing everything. The alien officers murmured uneasily. Some suggested retreat, others proposed harsher attacks, but nothing seemed to guarantee success. For the first time in centuries, the Empire faced an opponent that could challenge its might. They had assumed Earth would be conquered in hours, days at most. Instead, humans were resisting, learning, and striking back with skill and determination. On the ground, humanity continued to unite and fight. Engineers shared technology across borders. Soldiers trained civilians in defensive strategies. Communities built fortifications and improvised weapons. People who had never met before were working together, forming networks of resistance that spanned continents. Humanity's spirit and unity had become as formidable as any weapon. Kale realized that underestimating humans had been a critical mistake. They are not just survivors, he admitted. They are fighters. And they are learning faster than we can destroy them. His officers exchanged worried glances. The morale among the alien soldiers, once unshakable, was beginning to falter. The invaders were powerful, but they were not invincible. Dr. Ross continued to coordinate human strategies, refining attacks and identifying weaknesses in the Empire's fleet. "We have them thinking we are weak," she said to her team. "But every time they make a move, we learn, we adapt, and we strike back. They are underestimating us, and that will be their downfall." By the end of the day, the Galactic Empire faced a sobering truth. Earth was not an ordinary planet. Its people were not ordinary beings. They were clever, resilient, and united, capable of fighting in ways no one in the galaxy had seen before. The invaders had expected an easy victory. Instead, they had encountered a force that refused to be conquered. Across Earth, humans celebrated small victories while preparing for the battles to come. The unity that had begun after the first strike had grown stronger, and humanity's confidence soared. For the first time, the Galactic Empire realized that Earth was a planet that could fight back, and perhaps even win. Dr. Ross gazed at the night sky, the alien fleet a dark silhouette against the stars. "They thought they were invincible," she whispered. "But they haven't met humans before. And now they are about to learn just how dangerous we can be." Humanity strikes back. The night skies above Earth were alive with energy and movement. After days of resisting the Galactic Empire, humans were no longer just defending, they were going on the offensive. Cities that had been damaged were now fortresses. Military forces, scientists, and civilians worked together to plan coordinated strikes. Humanity had discovered its greatest strength: unity, courage, and adaptability. Dr. Elena Ross and her team had spent countless hours analyzing the alien fleet. Every ship, every pattern, every pulse of energy had been studied and recorded. They had discovered the weaknesses in the Empire's shields, the delays in their energy systems, and the blind spots in their targeting arrays. With this knowledge, humanity was ready to strike back, and strike hard. Commander Daniel Hargrove prepared his squadron for the boldest mission yet. Their target: a massive alien cruiser that had coordinated attacks on multiple cities. It was heavily shielded, armed with devastating weapons and nearly impossible to approach. But Hargrove's pilots were humans, and humans had learned to do the impossible. "Remember," Hargrove said over the comms, "we're not just fighting for survival. We're showing them that Earth will not be conquered. Stay sharp, trust each other, and follow the plan. One mistake could cost everything, but one success could change the war." The pilots took off into the darkened skies, weaving between debris and explosions. They approached the alien cruiser carefully, analyzing its movements. As Dr. Ross predicted, the shields powered down briefly when the ship fired its main cannons. This was the moment to strike. Human missiles and energy bursts launched simultaneously from multiple directions, hitting the ship's weak points at the same time. The cruiser shuddered violently, alarms blaring across its hull. Explosions erupted, and parts of the massive vessel tore apart and plummeted toward Earth's oceans. The humans had done it, they had struck back and inflicted serious damage. Back on Earth, the news of the strike spread rapidly. Across cities, towns, and villages, people cheered. Humanity had taken the fight to the invaders. For the first time, the Empire was on the defensive. But the Galactic Empire was not ready to give up. Overseer Kale watched the reports with growing anger. "These humans, they are not just surviving, they are hunting us now," he said, pacing in the command room. "Every attack they make is coordinated, precise, and unexpected. We cannot overwhelm them with brute force alone." Kale's officers suggested new strategies, but even they were unsure. The humans had grown smarter, faster, and more united with every strike. Their resistance was no longer chaotic, it was organized, strategic, and deadly. On the ground, civilians continued to contribute to the fight. Engineers created energy pulse generators to disrupt alien sensors. Hackers penetrated communication channels, spreading misinformation and confusion among the Empire's ranks. Soldiers coordinated attacks with every human weapon at their disposal. Humanity's creativity was now a weapon in itself, turning the tide against the invaders. In the skies over Europe, Lieutenant Sarah Khan led a daring squadron through narrow canyons and urban landscapes, striking at alien supply lines. Her pilots maneuvered with precision, dodging energy blasts that would have destroyed any ordinary ship. Every strike was calculated, every movement rehearsed, and every success boosted morale further. Even isolated humans contributed in unexpected ways. A team in the Amazon jungle rigged natural energy flows to disrupt alien drones. Villages in Africa set traps for smaller alien ships. Ordinary humans were fighting alongside trained soldiers, showing courage and ingenuity that the Empire had never encountered. Dr. Ross coordinated global attacks from the observatory. Using satellites, communication networks, and real-time data from pilots and ground forces, she orchestrated strikes that hit alien ships at their weakest points. They thought technology alone would win, she said quietly, watching the explosions on her monitors. But they have no idea what humans can do when we work together. The Empire began to crumble. Ships that had once seemed invincible now fell to human strikes. Scout drones were destroyed in seconds. Supply lines were cut. The alien forces, confident in their superiority, were unprepared for the speed and intelligence of humanity's counterattacks. Kale's officers tried to adapt, but every move the Empire made was anticipated and countered. "They think faster than we do," one officer said nervously. "Every plan we make, they find a way to turn it against us." As dawn approached, the skies were littered with debris from destroyed alien ships. Humanity had proven that it could not only survive the Galactic Empire's attacks, it could dominate the battlefield. Cities and towns were battered, but hope burned brighter than ever. Humans had learned the power of unity, strategy, and courage. In New York, Commander Hargrove returned from his mission, battered but alive. "We did it," he said, voice full of determination. "We hit them where it hurts. And tomorrow we hit them harder. They underestimated us, and that is their mistake." On the Dominion flagship, Overseer Kale seethed. "These humans, they fight with heart, with creativity, and with unity. They are dangerous. We must strike harder, but we must also fear them. They are not like any world we have faced before." Humanity's victories were not just physical, they were psychological. The Empire had assumed humans would break under fear, that they would surrender under overwhelming power. Instead, every victory, every clever strike, every act of courage reminded the invaders that humans were not prey, they were hunters. Dr. Ross gazed at the alien fleet from her observatory. "They came to destroy us," she whispered, "but they didn't know that humans fight not just with weapons but with heart. And today, we have shown them what it truly means to face Earth's defenders." For the first time, the Galactic Empire realized the enormity of their mistake. Earth was not just another planet to conquer. Its people were not ordinary beings. They were a species capable of ingenuity, unity, and extraordinary courage. Humanity was no longer just surviving, it was striking back, and with every attack the invaders' confidence crumbled further. The battle was far from over. But for the first time humanity could see a path to victory. The storm had arrived, and Earth had not only weathered it, it had begun to fight back. Victory and reflection. The skies above Earth were no longer a place of fear, they were a battlefield of human courage and ingenuity. After days of relentless attacks, careful planning, and daring strikes, the tide had finally turned. Humanity, once cornered and terrified, had become the hunter. The Galactic Empire, confident in its strength and experience, now faced defeat at the hands of a species it had underestimated. The final battle began at dawn. The Dominion flagship, the largest and most powerful ship in the Empire's fleet, hovered above the Atlantic Ocean. Its massive weapons powered up, ready to annihilate cities below. Alien commanders believed that this final strike would crush humanity once and for all. But they had not accounted for the full force of Earth's united population. Commander Daniel Hargrove led the human assault. Fighter jets, now equipped with experimental weapons developed by scientists under Dr. Elena Ross, raced toward the flagship. Satellites transmitted real-time data, guiding every maneuver with pinpoint accuracy. On the ground, electromagnetic pulse generators, strategically placed in cities and deserts, created interference that disrupted the ship's shields. Every human, in every corner of the planet, contributed to the effort. "Focus on the weak points," Hargrove instructed over the comms. "Strike together, strike fast. Every second counts." The humans executed their plan flawlessly. Energy pulses hit the flagship's shields at precise intervals, while missiles and fighter strikes targeted vulnerable areas. The massive ship shuddered under the coordinated assault, sparks flying across its hull. The Dominion flagship, the pride of the Galactic Empire, began to falter. On board the flagship, Overseer Kale's fury was matched only by disbelief. Impossible, he roared. They are too organized. Too clever. They fight as one and every move we make, they counter it. The alien officers exchanged worried glances. The Empire's fleet, once invincible, was falling apart before their eyes. Ships exploded in the atmosphere, drones were disabled and supply lines were cut. The humans had become a force the galaxy had never seen before. On Earth the news spread quickly. Cities that had been scarred by previous attacks now celebrated as victories were confirmed. Civilians cheered, soldiers high-fived and children waved to the skies, watching alien ships crumble. Humanity had not just survived, they had defeated an empire that spanned galaxies. Dr. Elena Ross watched the battle unfold from the observatory, heart pounding with pride. "We did it," she whispered. "Not because we are stronger, not because we are faster, but because we never gave up, we never surrendered, and we fought as one." Her team nodded, eyes wide, witnessing the culmination of humanity's determination. The Dominion flagship, now critically damaged, began to lose control. Its massive engines faltered, and pieces of the ship fell into the Atlantic with tremendous explosions. The remaining alien vessels, seeing their command ship destroyed, began retreating in disarray. The Galactic Empire, once so confident, had been humbled by humans. Across the globe, the final moments of the battle were met with celebrations, tears, and reflection. Humanity had faced annihilation and had risen stronger than ever. They had proven that courage, unity, and intelligence could overcome even the most advanced technology. In London, Lieutenant Sarah Khan looked at the skies, now free of alien ships. "They thought we would surrender," she said softly. "But they never understood humans. We fight for each other, for our families, our planet, and for our future." Commander Hargrove returned to his base, weary but triumphant. "The Empire believed fear would control us," he said. "But we are more than fear. We are humanity, and we do not give up." Even the survivors of the Empire had a new understanding of the humans they had tried to conquer. They had expected weakness, submission, and surrender. Instead, they encountered resilience, ingenuity, and unity, a force stronger than any weapon. Overseer Kale, retreating with what remained of his fleet, knew this would be a lesson remembered across galaxies. Humans were not to be underestimated. Back on Earth, communities began rebuilding. Cities were damaged, forests scarred, and oceans littered with debris, but the human spirit was unbroken. People worked together to restore what had been lost. Scientists shared technology to rebuild infrastructure. Soldiers helped communities secure food, water, and medical care. Humanity had survived the storm, and now they were stronger, wiser, and more united than ever. Dr. Ross stood on a cliff overlooking the ocean, watching the last alien ships vanish into space. She felt a deep sense of pride and awe. "They came to conquer us," she said quietly. "But they never understood what it meant to face humans. We do not give up. We adapt. We fight. And we win." For the first time in history, humans had faced a threat far beyond their own world, and had emerged victorious. They had not only defended their planet, they had proven that unity, courage, and intelligence could triumph over even the greatest odds. As the sun rose over Earth, casting light on cities, oceans, forests, and mountains, humanity reflected on the lessons learned. Strength alone did not make a species powerful. It was their courage, their determination, their ability to unite in the face of impossible odds that defined them. The Galactic Empire had been defeated, not by weapons alone, but by the heart and mind of every human on the planet. Children ran through the streets, laughing and playing, unaware of how close the world had come to destruction. Adults rebuilt homes, repaired infrastructure, and celebrated the victories of soldiers and civilians alike. Humanity had faced annihilation and had not only survived, they had triumphed. Dr. Ross looked at the horizon, a faint smile on her face. "This is only the beginning," she said. "The universe is vast and threats will come again. But we now know our true strength. Humanity will never be conquered. We will fight, we will adapt, and we will prevail." The Galactic Empire had been humbled and Earth had been saved. But more importantly, humanity had learned something even greater. Their unity, courage, and resilience were the greatest weapons of all. The storm had passed, and a new era of hope, strength, and vigilance had begun. Humanity had faced the impossible, and emerged victorious. The Earth and its people would never be the same again.